Good evening. Russia has issued a stark public warning to the United States over the war in Ukraine. On October 13, 2025, Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chair of Russia's Security Council, declared that if the US sends long-range missiles to Ukraine, the conflict could escalate dramatically. This isn't just diplomatic posturing. Medvedev's words signal a serious red line for Moscow. The world is watching as President Trump considers sending advanced weapons to Ukraine, while President Zelensky continues to plead for more support. The focus is on long-range missiles, capable of striking deep into enemy territory and potentially changing the course of the war. Medvedev's warning highlights how quickly a regional conflict could spiral into a global crisis. The stakes are high. Every move by the US, Russia, and Ukraine is under intense international scrutiny. President Trump's recent comments about advanced weapons have only fueled the tension. As the week begins, the world braces for what could be a pivotal moment in the Ukraine conflict. At the center of this crisis are Tomahawk missiles, long-range precision weapons the US has used for decades. President Trump has floated the idea of sending Tomahawks to Ukraine, calling them very offensive weapons. For Ukraine, these missiles could target Russian military assets far behind the front lines, potentially shifting the balance of power. But for Russia, Tomahawks represent a direct threat, capable of reaching deep into Russian territory. The debate is no longer just about defending Ukraine. It's about weapons that could bring the war to Russia's doorstep. Moscow's reaction has been swift and severe, turning a discussion about military aid into a global flashpoint. The world is now watching to see if the US will cross this dangerous threshold. The stakes have never been higher. Russia's main fear isn't just the range of Tomahawks, it's their dual capability. Medvedev warns, in flight, you can't tell if a Tomahawk is carrying a conventional or nuclear warhead. If Russia detects a launch, it might assume the worst, risking a catastrophic nuclear response. This uncertainty could trigger a chain reaction. One mistake, and the world faces disaster. Medvedev's warning is personal, aimed at President Trump. This move could end badly for everyone, especially the US. Russia insists there are red lines that must not be crossed. Introducing long-range dual-capable missiles into Ukraine is one of them. The risk of miscalculation has never been more real. For Ukraine, long-range missiles are about survival. President Zelensky insists these weapons would be used only for military targets, to liberate Ukrainian territory, not to strike Russian cities. He's made his case directly to the world, promising restraint and responsibility. The US faces a dilemma: support Ukraine with powerful weapons, or risk provoking a direct conflict with Russia. President Trump's administration has been cautious, but the Tomahawk debate signals a possible shift. The White House is weighing whether the benefits to Ukraine outweigh the risks of escalation. No final decision has been made, and officials are consulting allies closely. The response to Russia's warning has been measured, as Washington considers its next move. The world waits for America's answer. This standoff isn't just about Ukraine, Russia, or the US. It's about global security. A direct clash between nuclear powers is a nightmare scenario the world has tried to avoid for decades. European nations are especially anxious, knowing escalation could devastate their continent. The logic of escalation is dangerous. One side acts, the other responds, and the cycle can spiral out of control. Russia's warning over Tomahawks is a clear signal. Crossing this line could trigger unpredictable consequences. The US must decide. Will it risk a wider war to help Ukraine, or hold back to avoid catastrophe? The best hope is that the threat of escalation brings all sides back to the negotiating table. The worst-case scenario: a miscalculation that leads to direct conflict between Russia and the West. The decisions made now will shape the future of the war and global security for years to come. The stakes could not be higher.